Welcome to Real Kiwi Fishing. This week Pea and I, we're back out on the Gulf. What we're going to be doing today is heading up around that sort of Whangaparoa area, around Turi, and we're going to be fishing those shallows. Brought along a couple of big burleys, and coming into the end of June, it's a real good time to get in that shallow area and target those big reds. All the smaller fish are starting to move out into the deeper water, so hopefully we get into a few fish up there and hopefully enjoy. So we've just turned up to our spot, sitting in about 6 meters of water, and we're just sitting around that sort of Whangaparoa head at the moment. So I'm going to start here. Because we're in quite shallow water, all I'm going to do is run with a floating bait. So it's basically just the hook straight to my trace, and I've got a little bead there, coloured bead, just to mix it up a bit. But what we'll do is we'll get the burley set, and it might sort of take about half an hour to an hour before anything sort of starts happening. So we'll set up the burley. So with the burley, we've got a little burley here we're going to chuck in, but also put some along with those fish bite burleys as well, and we'll just chuck that in. It's got a burley net here, it will just chuck everything in. But also I've brought some along that salmon burley that's in the can. So these are quite cool. Leave those on your boat. So all I'm doing is stripping the plastic out of this burley. It's pretty frozen, so it'll defrost quite slowly. And I'll grab some of these fish bites. These are quite cool because you can actually, as you're fishing, grab a handful, chuck them out as well. So just a couple of handfuls in the bag. Chuck a couple more out for the fish. And this salmon burley in the can. So all I'm going to do with this is just stir it up. And I chuck the whole thing in that bag.
Yo, 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 yo.
Pea's got some liveys there. Now what I've got is a pre-rigged burley rope, and it's roughly, I'd say, 10 meters long. And I've got a dive weight belt there to keep it sort of up and down. So I clip it on. and then onto my rope, and then I can just adjust how deep I want the burley. Now we've got the tide coming in, it's going that way, so I'm going to drop the burley this side. Pea, your rod. This is our first fish for the morning. Now it's not the monster that we're after, but hey, it's a start and we haven't even got the burley in yet, so it's a good sign. There you go, burley's all done. And what I'll do is every now and then I'll just give it a pull up and down, and that'll just filter out every now and then. This Pea's hooked up again. Another small fish. That's a good sign. Even though they're small, at least we know there's fish here. Pea's picked up a couple of little yellowtail here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to rig mine up for a big snapper, and a John Dory might turn up as well. And there you go. Still a little bit live there, which is good. Now normally I would cast that, but because we're quite shallow I'm going to run 2 rods. I'm going to have to just fish this one pretty much straight up and down to start with.
What's the matter with this fish? Swallow the hook.
The Pea's hooked up again, caught another one. Nothing big as yet, but that's the 3rd fish. Now here's my first bait, floating bait. And I'll flick out. And because it's got no sinker, it'll just float down slowly. So the burley's going down, and this will just float just the same speed as that burley, and it'll think it's just a chunk of fish coming down from old Noah's Ark, chewing up the top here. There's just a carway there, but that's one good thing. We've got some big fresh baits, so that's not a bad thing. We're hoping it was a bigger snapper, but some nice fresh baits, and Pea will probably have a slice for lunch as well. So this one, I've got another yellowtail. This one's dead, so I'm going to flick this out for a big snapper hopefully. So similar thing through the tail, once up the body, and then in by its side flipper. There you go. That just reeks big snapper. Give the burley a bit of a pump. Get the fish excited. So that'll just drift slowly down. I've got no weight, remember, no sinker. And hopefully there's some big mooches just hanging back there in the back of that burley trail. Now because that yellowtail's not very big, I'm going to fish in gear. I've got a customer at the moment. He's just come along and had a bit of a bite. If it was a bigger yellowtail, or even a live one, I'd basically have the bow arm open and then let the fish run with it, flick the bow arm over and then strike. So I'm hooked up. Something a little bit better. There you go. It's not the big one we're after, but it's a decent fish. So yeah, those longer baits, those harder baits is what you want. Stay on your line a bit longer on your hook. Let the little ones pick at it. And a better fish will come through.
And it's what do you reckon?
When you got the little ones hanging around, it's good to get a good bait on. Something that'll stay longer. So I'm using half yellows. Can use whole ones, but I quite like cutting them half, getting that sort of blood and guts sort of going on. There you go. And the fish are starting to turn up, so I'm just going to fish with the one. Just lob it back. Still got no sinker. Tide's coming in. It's not that strong a current, so I've just stuck with no sinker. Now my previous bait, before I caught that last snapper, actually something big grabbed it, and it must have been a big snapper. Bit right through the trace. So yeah, when you're doing those straylining in the shallows, you'll get a lot of those smaller fish, still takeable but small. And you want to have some good bait that'll just stay on the line, stay on your hook, let the little ones pick at it, and the big one will come along, bang it out the way and just grab it. Using pulleys and stuff like that, that's cool, especially when they're on the bite, the big ones. Use them whole. But a lot of times those small fish will just come in and mangle that bait up, and you're just not catching them. There's too many small stuff, and there's nothing for the bigger fish to sort of hang around and grab. So half a yellow or some slabs of kahawai work really well. So I've got something on my line at the moment. Give it a bit of
Yes,
dropped it. That was a nice fish. It was in the weed a bit. It just came in and grabbed it. It's back again. Now because I got that harder bait on, I know I can just leave it in there and wait for the next one to come along. Oh, another nice hit. And again, it's back again. That's a great thing with those baits. Mate, there was some nice hits there. The bigger fish are definitely here. And that's what I was saying with those hard baits. I got sort of 3 or 4 shots at fish there. If it was a pilchard, would have been gone on that first sort of hit. First, second hit. So yeah, good to have those hard baits. So we've carved up the kahawai into chunks. So all I do is go through the meat and back out through the skin, just through once, lob it out and just let that float down through that burley. It's a great bait for big snapper, big chunk of kahawai. There you go, hooked up. Nothing big this time, but little ones were pecking at it, playing with it, and I just left it. Wait for that better grab. There you go. A bit better than those small ones that are biting. Thanks for watching another great day out fishing with Real Kiwi Fishing. And you can also find more of my movies on my YouTube channel, Real Kiwi Fishing.